Hello everyone. I'm going to demonstrate a very simple technique to organize your files in your local machine or computer and keep the whole file systems into under a version control using an open source tool called Git, which is a distributed open source version control. And you're going to maintain this repository into a remote place for backup. And you for that actually you don't need to do this sync or taking a backup periodically, but instead actually you're going to do a check-in to your repository locally, and then it's going to push that to the centralized place, the remote place where you're going to keep the backup of. So you're going to use this either external hard disk or Dropbox, which is a cloud account. So you can store your repository encrypted form in either in the Dropbox or in the external hard disk, and you're going to have your repository mounted on your local repository stored in your hard disk, which is again encrypted. So only when you decrypt that and load it in the file system, then only you'll be able to access those files. So let me show you how you're going to do it. This is the actual picture, how this is going to be distributed. So first actually you need to make sure that you have the two utilities are installed on your system, in your Linux system. So this is a Git utility, and you also need to make sure that you have cryfs as the file system encrypted file system utility. I have already installed it, so that's why you don't need to install it now. The first thing first is to create that encrypted folder in your Dropbox. So it's going to ask you a few questions like, do you want to create these directories? Do you want to use the default settings, default config settings? Say yes, 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 and then it will ask for the password. So use give it a new password. It is going to ask you to reconfirm. I'm sorry, this doesn't match. Okay. So now both the directories have been created. So you see that if you use tree, then you'll see that the tree has one of the file system, one of the directory called enc git repos, and you see some of the files here, which basically are the encrypted format of the file location of this here. Now if you see into a git repos, so you'll see the git repos as a directory was created. The first thing first is I will create the repo in the encrypted file. So for that I need to go to this decrypted folder and I'll create a bare repository called personal.git. So it will create a directory personal.git, which will have all your git folders, git files. So here is a place where you're going to store all your repository informations here. So you won't be able to see these files because Git keeps everything in the hash format. So you won't be able to see this file. Now I'll create two more directories. I'm calling as an enc data, and I'm going to create a dec data. All right, so you have all the files created. So I have a DAC data, which is my working directory. Then this is actually an decrypted file system, the fuse file system, and actually this the original file which is being stored in the hard disk are basically kept in the enc. So you'll see there's a folder called enc data. So if you go to this enc data, this is the encrypted files which are actually stored in the hard disk. So now from the DEC data, I'm going to do a clone of the repository. That's enough for me to clone it. So now I got a folder called personal. So this is my, so if you see this, there is a local repository which is stored under .git. Now I create my files, I store anything here. Maybe a text file, it could be binary file as well. Well, so now if you see a git status, it will show that this file is not been checked in. I do a git add confidential.txt, so this will keep the file in the staging area. Now you'll see that this is a staging area. It has been moved to a staging area. Now I do it. So if you do a git status, you will be able to see that this file has been checked into a local repository, and this is a working directory. So you can work on this. You can add, delete, you can modify anything you want to do. And just to make sure that periodically you do a git check-in to your local repository, and sometimes maybe weekly or maybe monthly you should do a git push to. If you do a git push, it's going to push the local repository to the remote repository. So if you do a remote -v, then you'll be able to see that, I'm sorry, this is git remote -v, then you'll be able to see that this is the origin, and actually the origin is taken from here. So push is also going to happen here. So this is your actual original remote repository, and which is located here right now. Well, so we are ready with this. So now we have created all those files. We are going to use it. So you don't need the remote all the time, mount it on your system. So you can unmount it. Git repos, you don't need that all the time. So now you go to the Dropbox, you will see that your Git repos have been stored here. So if I log in here, I'll be able to see the git enc git repos, and you see all the folders here, all the files that are encrypted. So nobody could see it unless they mount it back with the password, with the password that we have used on any another operating system and another file location. Well, so when you log out or when you reboot the system, so automatically what happens is the operating system will do this unmount of your encrypted folder. Now if you see this, you don't have anything here, right? Every time you log in, so you need to do this once. It's going to ask the password that you have used to encrypt it. Now you will be able to see all your files here, so which is again under version control. So you keep on using it, and periodically you do it, encrypt, you store only the encrypted. If you go back to this page, you will see that you're storing only the encrypted remote repository onto this Dropbox or the hard disk. So this is how actually you can store all your files very secure way onto the cloud, and you could also keep on using on your local folder, and which is periodically you're going to push it, so you don't need to run a heavy ticket item like rsync or gsync kind of things to take a backup. So you, as long as you're working on your local folder, things are going to be encrypted before storing into the hard disk, and when you are doing a push, so it is also going to take these local changes to the remote location, which is going to be which can be mounted from anywhere. Hope this helps you. So if you're liking this video, please add some few comments or subscribe to this. I'm intent to add many more tutorials for your help, and if you feel it, please give me some constructive feedbacks that I could use it for my improvements, and also I can give you better tutorials in future. Thank you.